Aldama lashes out against Pedro Sánchez and claims to have received death threats. Let's get started. Hello everyone and welcome to a new edition of Precautionary Measures. Pay close attention because we have a video from Victor de Aldama. As you already know, in the last few hours I informed you that indeed Aldama had already submitted last week the famous envelope with the PDVSA oil quotas worth $250 million, which we reported exclusively here on Precautionary Measures and on Libertad Digital. An amount that was going precisely to finance the Socialist International that made Pedro Sánchez president of that international, and also even to directly finance Pedro Sánchez's PSOE. Well, once the envelope is at the National Court, in the Central Court of Instruction number 2 of Ismael Moreno, well, there have been many reactions, of course, in a public meeting after this bombshell, and one of the first reactions was from Victor de Aldama himself. Don't miss today's video because we're going to find out what Victor de Aldama himself says on his social media in a video he posted in the last few hours. And we also have new information about his statement, so you really can't miss it. And we're going to start precisely with the video of the key figure Victor de Aldama. You can see how Aldama is completely outraged in this video after it was leaked. Well, the news, we have to remember, was leaked to the newspaper El País, the main newspaper for Pedro Sánchez's government. And besides the fact that it was leaked, which poses a security problem for Victor de Aldama himself. Well, the businessman claims that once it was leaked, he started receiving death threats. And that the Ministry of the Interior, which he doesn't trust, doesn't even assign him a bodyguard. I mean, there is a bodyguard. There's a bodyguard for Sara Santaolalla, supposedly to protect her from the journalist Vito Quiles, but there's no bodyguard for the safety of Victor de Aldama, who has just reported a criminal organization at the highest level, implicating none other than the Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez and the former Prime Minister José Luis Rodríguez Zapatero. Let's first listen to what Aldama himself has to say.
Good afternoon, everyone. Yes, well, good afternoon, because many of you are probably having lunch already, so good afternoon to everyone. Well, this is a video I didn't want to make because it means that, well, the news has leaked that I handed over the envelope. Obviously, there was no doubt that I was going to do it, but since it's part of a confidential case and it's a very delicate matter, extremely delicate, we were never going to say anything about it. We weren't going to say anything until the case was no longer confidential, but we don't know when that will be. I'm absolutely sure that, for different reasons and situations, it hasn't been the prosecutor's office, or in this case, the judge. And you might ask me why. Well, because of things that nobody cares about and that were said after I finished my statement. I don't know where the leak is coming from, but the important thing about all this is that in the end, it got leaked. All those people who called me a liar, who said there was no envelope, even the Socialist Party itself, which wrote a statement saying the envelope didn't exist. You can all relax and sleep well now, since the envelope exists and has been delivered. And I have made the statement I had to make. But also for those people, what are they going to say now that I've delivered the envelope? Now, what else? What else? Because it's already in the hands of justice. Now, Mr. Abascal, who was so worried about Abalos and about Coldo, about how their safety would be in prison, I still haven't heard Mr. Abascal say that I'm the only one who's doing something for this country. The only one who's doing something for this country. And it's not because I'm praising myself. The only one who's doing something for this country. Where is my security, Mr. Abascal? But Mr. Feijó, the same thing. Where is my security? Because I don't hear any of them saying anything. And I would have it checked. I would have it checked. Because in this weekend's elections in Castilla y León, the PSOE won 2 more seats. It's not that the PP won the elections, the PSOE won them. Because with everything that's going on, for the PSOE to win 2 more seats in Castilla y León means the PSOE won the elections. So let's take a look at that. Stop making such a fuss already. Come together, because the right needs to unite. There are no colors. We're at a moment in Spain's democracy and in Spain itself where everything is going to hell. There are no colors, and I can't do it alone. I don't know how else to say it. I don't know if I need to say it loud or shout or what. Mr. Feishu, Mr. Abascal, I can't do it alone. So you need to start doing something. We'll have to hand over the envelope. Maybe get some security, but definitely not from the Ministry of the Interior. Because the one in charge is the one in charge. We need to find a way to protect me, right? We have to act. You're also concerned about Koldo and Abalos and what could happen to them in jail. Well, someone is worried about me because I'm tired of giving and not receiving, okay? And always being the one, always being the one. So I think this really needs to stop for a bit. You need to come together. Let's be reasonable. I'll say it again. It's no longer about blue or green. It's about Spain and the Spanish people, okay? What people want is change, because this country is going adrift, because there's a corrupt government. It's being proven. Otherwise, someone tell me how what happened today happened, okay? But anyway, I don't know. We keep going like this. I keep being exposed. My family is exposed. We're all exposed, and nothing at all happens here. Still, I have to keep giving. And I want to make one thing clear. I didn't have to hand over the envelope, okay? Because it's not related to any case. The envelope isn't tied to a case, so I didn't have to turn it in. I went as a witness and testified. I handed it over because I feel patriotic and because I'm Spanish. And third, because I want this corrupt and mafia-like socialist party, we have to go. It's been proven everywhere, okay? That's how it is. And nothing is done. But the opposition does nothing. Nobody does anything. So that's enough. I think that's enough, okay? And they keep blocking things from me. They keep trying to take things away from me. Like what happened recently with the restaurants at Cuatro Torres. That doesn't depend on the PSOE. It depends on the PP. And it's the Fuencarral City Council that has illegally shut them down. When there is a closed file in court regarding the case in which we are still continuing with the concession, and they have shut them down illegally, obviously, we have filed a lawsuit, and we are moving forward. But in the end, what is this? The same thing? Is it the same? Are we discussing the same dog, just with a new color? I don't know. We need to get our heads checked. Because honestly, I'm getting tired. And I'm getting really tired. Nothing happens here except I'm criticized for not handing in the envelope. That I was a liar. A snake oil salesman. Everyone was telling me that the envelope didn't exist. What now? Now the envelope has been delivered. What now? What now? Tell me, all of you. And the opposition too. Tell me, what now? What do we do now? Are you going to support me? Or are you going to keep stringing me along? I don't know. Tell me. Because I'll say it again. I wasn't the one who corrupted the politicians, okay? The politicians extorted me. So that we make it clear once and for all, they extorted me. And they set me up to put me in jail, okay? Let's make that clear, okay? So that as well. Anyone out there saying that I extorted the politicians? No. If I were to extort a politician, what the politician would do is report me and put me in jail, okay? Not the other way around. What the politician said is that either I work that way or I don't work at all. And then they start making my life impossible. That's what the politician did. We need to get our heads checked, okay? Also, notice they gave a young lady protection. Because supposedly a renowned journalist from this country, that's what she says, that he pushed her or assaulted her when you can see in the videos that it's a lie. And the next day she gets protection. I find it unbelievable that women who are actually assaulted don't get protection, okay? And yet this young lady does. But I'm in the same situation, okay? I'm in the same situation. That today I started receiving, after the envelope thing got leaked, death threats again, so what do we do? I don't know, you tell me. Good afternoon, everyone. Hugs and kisses. Thank you.
Well, those are the words of Aldama. Of course, I couldn't agree more with the businessman. It's outrageous, on one hand, that someone is putting their life at risk to expose corruption, and it affects none other than the Prime Minister and the former Prime Minister. And yet, the political parties look the other way. There's security for Sara Santaolalla, but there's no security for Aldama. Honestly, all of this is a disgrace. Check out the information we're publishing today in Precautionary Measures with Miguel Ángel Pérez and in Libertad Digital, especially regarding Victor de Aldama's now famous statement. After handing over the envelope last Thursday, at the National Court, just take a look at the headline. Aldama's statement about the $250 million oil quotas from PDVSA is a bombshell for Moncloa, just as you're hearing it. It's a bombshell, okay? It must be said that the legal sources we've consulted tell us that this statement by Aldama in court, well, as we said, it's dynamite against Moncloa, against Pedro Sanchez's government, and against the Socialist Party itself. They tell us literally that his appearance, which as you know took place under a gag order, is the reason we don't know about it yet, and we don't know when we'll find out. It's going to have a lot of implications. We've been told it was very powerful, and in fact it's not ruled out that after Aldama's appearance in court and the famous presentation of the envelope with the PDVSA quotas, consequences may follow. Important and immediate ones in the investigation. Despite this, sources close to Aldama that we have consulted, they tell us that the businessman has not been offered a security detail by the Ministry of the Interior, led by Fernando Grande Marlaska. Despite the worrying death threats he has received in recent months, some even coming from Venezuela, they tell us that Aldama is in a very complicated situation because he doesn't trust the Ministry of the Interior, which could provide him with security. His statements put Pedro Sanchez's government in a tight spot, so obviously he is not well regarded in the Ministry of the Interior, but that's not all. He also can't hire private security because his bank accounts are still frozen. So you could say that Aldama is at a crossroads. Regarding the issue of security, just a reminder, it's already come to light. Well, Aldama had been summoned in the first week of March to make that statement and hand over the envelope, and that statement had to be cancelled precisely for security reasons. So, we're not talking about something trivial. Is Aldama in danger? Yes, more than anything. Because what we're seeing now is that we're being controlled by a mafia, an organized criminal gang at the highest level, with connections in Venezuela and other countries. And this is what we're experiencing now in Sanchez's Spain, and certainly from here. We demand security for Victor de Aldama. And now we need to know what the Central Operative Unit of the Civil Guard is going to do with the documentation provided by Aldama and with his testimony. Because this is the second part. Aldama has come as far as he could. And now the Civil Guard has to do its job, which of course it will, but it's going to be a complex investigation. Let's not forget that it involves third countries like Venezuela. It involves the state oil company Venezuela PDVSA, which has been a focus of corruption for many years. And this investigation is going to be very complex because we're talking about those $250 million in PDVSA oil quotas. They would have been used to finance none other than the Socialist International, which made Pedro Sanchez president of that Socialist International in 2022, and also to finance Pedro Sanchez's PSOE. And all of this would have been channeled with the help of Venezuelan frontmen of former President José Luis Rodríguez Zapatero, who would have helped channel these funds from Venezuela to bank accounts even in Russia. Just to give us some context, it's a very delicate issue, very serious, very sensitive. Aldama has put his life in danger. So that this can be investigated, of course, he needs to have protection. And now everything will depend on the work of the UCO. But as they tell us, it has been a real bombshell. The statement of Victor de Aldama in court. And that's it for this edition of Precautionary Measures. I hope you liked it. Please leave me your comments. As always, you know I really appreciate them. What do you think about the step forward Aldama has taken? Some people said it was a lie. We already reported it here, more than a year ago, the contents of those envelopes. And in the end, we were proven right. The exclusive we reported has been acknowledged. Medidas cautelares y libertad digital. Leave me your opinions. Share the video with whoever you want. Family, colleagues, friends, with whoever you feel like. And you know you can become members like The Chosen for less than €3 a month, or like The Supreme. For less than €7 a month, you can also make contributions via Bizum at 627556370. 627556370. And precisely, we're going to dedicate today's program to the person who made a generous financial contribution to us via Bizum, who is none other than, creo que es un tocayo, efectivamente, Miguel Pablo Orrego. Thank you very much for your contribution, and thanks to all of you who are supporting this community every day, which keeps growing day by day. We're already about to reach 127,000 subscribers. You already know that the goal is to reach 150,000. The most important thing, as I always tell you, is that this information reaches everyone, because information is power. See you soon.